and Bonsai. We're live and we're back at the house and we're not out on the water. So, those of you following the channel, you know the deal. We're going to spin some little fairy tales around here, and they're always truthful fairy tales, but we're going to weave a tale here and there. And we're going to get to swim baits, but first I want to catch you up on what's going on the channel and in general in fishing and all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't noticed, there's been some little, what's up, Frank? And oh yeah, by the way, we were finishing off one little shot of Fireball we had earlier. So I've been down here jacking around. As you can tell, look at these reels. They're all torn apart. I'll get into that later. So anyway, I realized my swim bait game is getting it. It was always been weak, but it's only gotten weaker because, as some of you have mentioned, I've got an obsession with chatterbaits, and I was kind of going overboard with a lot of different stuff. Right, skirts. I was into skirts there for a while. If it didn't have a skirt on it, I didn't want to look at it. So we're going to backtrack a little bit. We're going to slow it down, cut it back a little bit, ease it up, son. So I brought out, I didn't even realize I actually had this many color selection in those, like the 275, the two, the under 3-inch little bitty swim baits to put on. What I am short of though is anything to put them on that kind of looks, I don't know, realistic. So anyway, before we get to that, I got the boat legal, took it out fishing. You've probably seen a couple clips of just me fishing. It's the first time, it was last weekend. I literally got the little bass baby out on the water and went to Pogue because other spots I was limited in where I could go basically that day, and I got somewhere around noon. There was already 3 guys in kayaks out there. They were just leaving, so I kind of went behind them. Still did pretty good overall, but I felt the fact that I got a late start, and when you're falling behind somebody, even though Pogue, they basically didn't hit a lot of the spots that I kind of knew about, but I'm sure they caught some of the fish. I would have caught more fish or whatever. And the bad thing is I lost a big one. So, and I caught a pretty good size. But when I say big, 2 to 3 pounds, probably under 4 kind of deal, because Pogue's just not known for big bass. So anyway, that happened Saturday. Then I went down, met with Charles on Sunday, and that was a cluster of grass. So we should have known better. We went to a place called the Grass Pit, and it was full of grass. But you probably will be seeing little small clips of both those days, because just as soon as we get ramped up and everything's going good fishing-wise, my computer is doing something weird, and it just wouldn't let me do anything with, I used DaVinci Resolve to try to edit videos, and that thing just totally goofed up or whatever. So I am actually right now, because I had to uninstall everything, even the GoPro stuff, and I'm trying to install it back now, but it's going to take a while. So basically all I can do is take my GoPro footage and throw the clips that are already made right up onto YouTube. So I've been doing some of those here and there. Those that like 8.5 minute you watch me just going through my chatterbaits that I tried that day, which crazily got more views than any video I put out other than how to set up a bait caster. The 8 minutes of just me basically tossing baits, and I tried every one of those. So this kind of goes off of a couple things. So Charles started throwing Sunday some swim baits basically like this. So he had them rigged up with or without an underspin on it, and he was just rigging up. But he was probably using some of the bigger ones, but I think he had a few of the smaller ones. But anyway, he was catching some fish, but I was obsessed with chatterbaits, so I never even pulled any of this kind of stuff out. But it was so packed and jumbled up in there, it would have took me forever to do that in the first place. But then he also got on this thing, and what made me go, one of the reasons why I went to Rogers today, because I'm like, I'm picking up some of those things. So what you will probably see at some point in an upcoming video is Charles rigged up his Willow vibes, and I probably have some laying around what he put on them, but he put those fatties on. He cut down a fatty and put it on the back of the Willow vibe, and actually had a pretty good bite going with that. And then just like It was either a 2 7/8 or 3.2 whatever swim baits he was doing on a. He tried it with an underspin or so much grass. I think he just went to a weedless setup and caught some that way. I think it was his really best way. He did catch a few on his homemade like MEP style baits, but they were so hard to get through with the treble hooks also that I went and I'm going to get me some Willow vibes, because I think I threw this briefly. Here's kind of my answer to the Finesse game. I've talked about it before. I used the Z-Man Micros, take the skirt off and put a swim bait or whatever soft plastic on and swim that around. It's basically kind of what Charles was doing with the Willow vibes. He didn't have like wasn't a real big bait on there. It was kind of a still small profile. And in the other video, he had one of the little Z-Man, whatever the little creature bait is, Elastic on one in orange, back when orange was working, and was catching some that way. So I made it run up to Rogers, and we're going to do a little unboxing, show you my Rogers haul, but I couldn't let myself leave, because if you guys know, so we're going to jump on to casting stuff. This has become one of my favorite, just out there throwing everything, right? It's the KVD jerkbait rod, and I found out, not really on accident, I figured I'd try it for everything, 6'10", medium heavy, and see what I liked it for. It is excellent for jerkbaits. What surprised me was the fact that I liked it for the little jerkbaits. And that dude's stuck in the box. But like the Vision 110 +1 Juniors and just jerkbaits in general, this is an excellent rod for that. But then what really surprised me was when I started throwing chatterbaits on it, and I really just put chatterbaits on it because we were doing the bluegill shootout, and I put the bluegill bait on that I didn't think would get hit that great on this rod, and it did get hit good, and it let me fish this long enough to realize, wow, I really like this rod for chatterbaits too. So the overall finish, comfort of it, and I picked up Rogers, only $100, right? So guess what I did? No, I didn't buy another one, but I did buy was... let me turn it where you guys can read it maybe the right way. Hey, look out there. I did pick up this one. Square bills and red eye shad. So this is the 7-foot medium action moderate. Of course, it's like a glass composite mixture or whatever, but the one KVD recommends for the red eye shad, I'm guessing just ½ ounce, maybe 3/4, I don't know, but it goes... The ratings, I think it'll actually throw way heavier than a 3/8 ounce, is what it feels like to me. 1/4 to 3/8, but it was only $99. I had $15 worth of rewards, whatever, so I went ahead and used that. Tax and all, it was like $94 by the time I walked out the door with it. So I'm probably going to, when I can come across them like deals, pick up all of the 7-foot rods in this lineup. And I've been debating about trying the Andy Montgomery actual chatterbait rod. It's way too long for me, but I thought maybe I might get it just to try it. If I'm gonna wait. I'm not in any hurry. I don't need any more rods, so I'm gonna wait for maybe as far as a Black Friday deal, or if they have any other kind of deals, or I just come across one used on Marketplace or wherever. Yeah, I don't know. I just keep the Super Combat sticks. I don't know. Then I've been debating about doing that too. I honestly, I got issues with rug burn my truck. If you guys remember, right in the first of the year when I was out fishing, I was actually at the place where we're getting the truck worked on, and I was fishing at my buddy Mike's place while him and my cousin were working on the truck, and the truck just is still not right. So if I have to put another $1,000 or $2,000 in it, I won't have money to spend on gear. But what I've been debating about doing, just for you guys, not for me, because I don't have an obsession with chatterbaits and chatterbait rods and all that. That's you guys. Keep pushing me. What I'm thinking about doing is getting because I just like the overall the the way these rods, they're just set up good, and this whole thing, and the fact they typically, for sure, the ones that KVD has, they have the shorter butts sections, and I just like that. How, because I switch hands, I cast right, switch and reel right. It just makes for overall. It's basically what I used to do with my rods, and these are already done that way. They're already shortened up. I used to do it myself. I've done it before, but so I'm thinking about doing that, and I thought about, well, I could get that chatterbait rod. Here's what I want to get, but I don't want to spend that much money. Hello. Yo. So anyway, what I wanted to do is get the Andy Montgomery one, which I will wait for it to come on sale or not, but it's $189. So that's not a lot of money. But then right now, one of you guys would probably go buy it. They've got the hookup tackle has the 80, not the 80. They've got the NRX Plus bladed jig rod for like $400, and the NRX Plus are like $650, right, or something like that. So that is a bargain. But I just don't know if G Loomis actually makes a good bladed jig rod in the NRXs anyway, because of the jig and worm rods that I've tried them for in the past. But I've thought about buying that one, or just, one of the others, possibly an evergreen, possibly not. But then a lot of people keep pushing the fact that the Shimano, whichever one you would get, the 7.2 medium heavy glass. So basically either the Poison Adrena or the X Pride in the 7.2 medium heavy glass. One is some guys are talking about how it's good for chatterbaits too, right? So I thought about trying to get a deal on one of those. I think you can actually get one right now on Tackle Warehouse for $2.99 on the older Poison Adrenaline like I got there. And they used to be as cheap as $2.50. So all this, I probably should just wait until we see what goes on with all the pricing on everything, because I think we're going to see stuff start dropping back off. Just my personal thoughts. I think like I've talked about before, I don't need anything else to really truthfully go out and fish this season, but I just keep buying stuff. But I do want to get because if you guys aren't familiar with these, we'll just talk about the KVD ones, because I basically, the ones that were 100 each, I've got 2 of them, and the ones you can get that were Kevin Van Dam signature ones, there's only 2 left. There's another. This is a 610 medium heavy jerkbait. They've got 7-foot, I believe it's a medium topwater, 7-foot medium heavy. That's for spinner baits or overall like target casting, and then the one that we just have for the basically crankbait, the smaller crankbait type rod that we just picked up. So I figure I'll get those, and then when I'm going anywhere, because also when Jeremy came over and bought the X Pride, he said we need to go fishing. So if I'm just like loading up, I'm kind of like a co-angler type deal, whether I'm going with Charles or with Jeremy, or I get out and I'm away from just fishing, and there's the slightest chance something could be getting jacked up. I honestly don't want to have to worry about my 3 P5s getting jacked up to where I'd only be out, another $150, $200 if one of my rods were to get totally destroyed, kind of deal. Yeah, I know, but here's the thing. I'm starting to like the looks of the newer Poison Adrenas over the old ones, because, and I'm going to explain myself real quick. Not really. I never explain myself fully, but I try to. The thing about and I know a lot of you guys are like, well, I put a Shimano this or that on it, but the newer Poison Adrenas look awesome with the new Lew's custom, the Gen 3 Custom Pro, whatever, the one I've got. I don't know, there's just something about the newer ones, the reel seat. I understand, and it does. I think they feel about the same. The only thing is, I don't think they'll probably make one. I don't think they made one of these in the newer ones, the 611 Medium Plus. And so what I'm tempted to do, if they do, is tempted to sell one of these, because I have 2. the exact same rod, and I find myself out there fishing, and I don't know why. I just never. I don't fish it enough, so that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm still trying to find a reel that I really like on here, and I know you guys keep saying, and I need to just go ahead and do that first. I need to. There's two things I need to buy for sure, because I just recently had this reel on it, and I took them knobs off, and I was gonna put some smaller knobs and put it back on, because it does. Everything's good about it, but there's just something still off about it. And you guys know how I am. I'm kind of picky on my combos. So I'll show you what I did do. I did go ahead, and if you see all the gold laying over there, the Zillion is now back to almost stock. So I got a different handle on it, but I went to it's all stock. So from the tension adjuster, the cap stuff and all that, and then the drag star, so it's pretty much back to stock for a few reasons. I end up throwing this reel around on different rods, and when it's like this, it'll go on any of them. I can put it on any of them. It doesn't look weird or whatever, and if anything, I can just switch out the handle, which is pretty simple, and use it around. If you guys remember, I got a little scratch on it finally after a couple years. I did all this just by hand, by my thumb. So the finish isn't good, and I actually finally scraped it on something, but it's still fine. Still awesome reel. But yeah, so this is probably going to go. I still got to figure out which one, since now this one was on the 610 medium heavy, and this is 7.5 to 1, 8.5 to 1. This would probably be better for the rod I just got, just for the fact a little slower to run the square bills and even the rattle traps kind of deal. And this one would either or. I guess it doesn't really make a huge difference. So, or I could also put wherever I put it, because I thought about running this guy on one of them too, just until I get, I don't even know what I want to get for that guy. Oh, let me show you what else I did. So, let me read the comments. I've been busy. I'm in the middle of switching stuff around. Shimano for life. Brew Tank is in the house talking crap about Shimanos. He's one of those uppity Shimano owners. Just take the bus, get the metanium and the adrenaline. What? Okay, so here's what I did. And I got it rigged up. I just haven't went out yet. So I'm sitting over here looking at it. I've got the Conquest, Loomis Conquest that I haven't taken out but like one time, and got on a real good little, but it was only really good for the 1.0 square bills. When I did the 1.5s, I felt like it was lacking just a little for those hooks. But then also sitting there, and I've got the Calcutta Conquest too. So I rigged them up, put a different handle assembly on it, lined it up. It's got 10-pound test braid to I believe it's 10-pound leader. It's the line that was on one of these other reels. So this is going to be my because I went over there and I was comparing it to my other rods that I kind of always use for shaky head, and it's like right there with them. So I think it actually will be good for the small. Basically, this is a power BFS. So I'm going to throw like Ned rigs, I'm going to throw shaky heads, I'm going to throw small, the 1.0 or anything smaller, hard baits, that kind of stuff. And with that BFS spool, I can cast all the way down. I could cast anything weightless, soft plastic I want. It's still got enough, as long as I use them small, like the VMC Finesse rugby jig heads or equivalent to those thinner wire. Like what I've done, because this is kind of close to the filling. It's a little, it jumps in the backbone a little faster than the feeling, and definitely the Teton 6.6. And if you guys remember, the Teton, I've been fishing forever with that same kind of small shaky head, thinner wire. I don't know if I could go with. There's probably some little bitty swim bait, kind of like these Oshakira deals. I could probably even throw with this thing, anything with an open hook. Because this is actually pretty powerful. It's kind of that in between. It kind of feels kind of soft, but that 802 is rated. I keep calling it 802. It's a 782, so it's only 6'6", not 6'8". But quarter to 5/8, 8 to 14 pounds. So it should be. It just, for whatever reason, that day when I was throwing some of the bigger square bills, I felt like I was struggling to enough power for the overall hook set and just getting them to the boat on a couple fish. So I kind of stopped using it for a while, but I'm like, I need to utilize that. That is like a ton of money sitting there. It just sets. It's set. This reel is set for almost 2 years now, and this rod has been out one time, and since I picked it up, 3 or 4 or 5 months ago or whatever, and I'm like, it's time to get it going. So, got it rigged up along with their other 802 and then 803 NRX Pluses. And then, I guess, I think I showed you guys, and you'll be seeing it. I think I already put out that little short video where I just pulled out that peanut butter and jelly jig. I talked about tracking it down after Matt had done what he did with it that day, and I was like happy that I got him. And the very first time I threw it out, it wasn't a giant, but I like smashed that fish. And that reel, that's one of my favorite reels of the Lose. And you kind of got to have it on a certain rod that like it goes okay with. So it's not too far out of place on like the P5, but I think it would look real good on and I put it on the Poison Adrena, and it feels real good, but I think it would look good on the new ones. It does not look good on the Poison Adrena, the older style that I have. They got that touch of red and silver, and that goldish orangish color doesn't mate up well with it. So anyway, all of that. Let's go to what I picked up at Rogers to go along with our little small Keitech style Finesse swim baits. I showed you these. I might as well finish that off. I bought these. I've used them here and there, but I think I only ever bought the 2, and I haven't lost them or wore them out. But I'm going to try to start utilizing this more finesse-y. So instead of just jumping right to, TRDs and zinkers and drop shots, I'm going to try to start utilizing, keep the moving, even though it's going to soft plastics, the moving bait finesse that way, then go to the more bottom bouncing stuff is the plan. That's where all this is getting started. And I picked up these. I still have mixed results with these. I feel like one day I can't miss, and then the next day I felt like it's hard to keep them on. And these are those Fusion from Berkeley, and this one's been used a ton. And I think these just are recent pickups over. I think these are like a couple years older than those two, just that smaller size. And unfortunately, that's about the smallest you can get. So they're not good for the little guys. They're like the 3.3s and then even up to the 4.2s, probably 3.8s or whatever. But finesse, you're still kind of, in my opinion, that's what I call it, like finesse. You're not really into BFS stuff, and you can throw them with regular bait casters. By the time you put a swim bait on there, no problem. Like these little dudes are like a 16th ounce. They're like on a smaller level. They pair up good with all this kind of stuff. But as you'll see, I got something else to put on some of those. And let's just get into it. So without further ado, take a drink of Fireball here real quick. It's delicious. So just to try out, and these are actually for the bigger bait, so wherever I got some at. And I just have a pink one I'll show you guys. So like just your bigger whatever baits, Rogers, I figure I'll try their little house brand. They're only $2.99. They got this crazy, pretty big sized hook. So kind of a small, lightweight looking head, but overall that's a stout setup. So, but I did pick those up. And then like I mentioned, I had to pick up some of these Willow vibes just because Charles, I'm pretty sure that's the exact thing he had. 1/4 ounce, not 3/8, because he was able to run it not super slow, but slow enough to where it didn't get bogged in grass real easy. And like he said, they kind of wanted to ride up these Willow vibes or whatever anyway. So $3 a piece. I figure I'll try them out. I don't know. And some of the stuff I left this out. If you guys remember this bait, oh boy, this bait's taking a beating. It's still going. I'm going to remelt it and catch another fish or two with it. But I may start also trying to utilize these Rage Menace and Baby Rage Menace is what this one is on the back, kind of in place of, you know, like you would a normal single tail grub or these little swim baits or something. Because I just started buying them for putting on as trailers. But I'm going to start also utilizing those by themselves here and there. And I don't know if this guy, I'll probably go with the bigger ones. Try some of those, some of the worms. This is like, these are basically just jig heads, and I'm going to try all kinds of soft plastics. And actually, that's the size hook I like because it's a little light. I believe 10-pound test will set the hook no problem with a hook that size, but yet I think I could still not really power fish with it, but I think I won't have a problem if I were to, you know, just throw this on one of my little bit bigger rods for whatever reason. So kind of basically doing the same stuff. And if you look, these hooks are very, very close. Actually, this hook sticks out up a little bit more. They're very close, but they do have a different feel in the water with that blade compared to that blade. But anyway, I'll be utilizing those as my finesse chatterbaity type things. Now, I also went ahead and picked up the smaller 3-inch spark shads because I wanted to try to because one thing I've never done is I've never took a spark shad and put on one of these heads. I bought these and just put some of these other cheaper swim bait things on it. I've never actually paired the two up, which I believe is maybe what they were originally made to go together or not, but they should be pretty good. So I got the IU color, IU. It's the USA IU. So gonna definitely put one of those on that and probably on something else once we get out here. And I know you're gonna see a color theme. I just can't get myself to get away from these kind of colors. And I do have some white, but then I believe this is what Charles's favorite color is, I think. Don't hold me to it, but I think Charles likes this color. Green pumpkin pearl. You guys can see that up top. So definitely gives off a baby bassy look, in my opinion. It's kind of that speckled look. I like that color, but then I had to get, because this was always my favorite color, in for sure the Strike King, but I think also like the Guggen's ones and stuff I was buying, but that electric shad. That color right there. And I don't know that I've ever bought these this small, the Rage Swimmers, or anything other than these are all like AliExpress, the small ones, because I was getting them cheaper. So I figured I'd just go ahead and, you know, bite the bullet. $5.99 each. Try them out. Rigging up along with some of the colors I already have. I got to get some different heads, so I'm going to actually have to make a Tackle Warehouse order. And you guys comment which So what I want is, I want to track down the heads that are similar to this, but don't look too gaudy on, you know, because like you see how far back that hook, that kills all the action. So that is not going to work, right? It's going to at least have to be a 3.3 or 3.8 or whatever, where these are really good for. But I like the overall thing. So the dirty jigs, the tactical mini spin, I think the color or whatever, I'm probably going to have to go break down and buy a few of those. Like I mentioned, they did have, and I almost bought them, but I just couldn't. I couldn't make myself. And if I do, I'll just get them from Tackle Warehouse because they had the color. They didn't have the color I wanted. But the Great Lakes Finesse, they've got the smaller heads with an underspin that actually have a pretty small hook, but it's almost like it's too small. It's almost like it goes from these are too big to, you know, instead of like this to like even a smaller, like that's a BFS only type thing. That's like it could possibly even straighten out with 10-pound test kind of deal. But I don't know. I'm tempted to try them. So I'm kind of going to work on picking up the finesse game. Plus, and I need to get more of like the underspin or just like the weedless underspin and just some weedless ones because after looking at all these, I think Charles took all my very small ones. So these, now I did put these crazy big deals in there, so it just would hold it on real good. But like these are right on the verge of being too big. But I was making these work with the small ones. I remember a couple years ago, but I only got the one with the gold blade left. I bought these in like the whole multi-pack. They came with like 2 gold, 2 silver in this size, 2 gold, 2 silver, 2 gold, 2 silver, and it's like 3 different sizes. And it was cheap off AliExpress, and they worked pretty good. I think Charles bought the same thing. But I'm going to have to retrack down some of these smaller ones. And I don't really want to buy everything off Tackle Warehouse, but I guess if I have to, I will, just to kind of zone in on and get it. Plus, I'm also tempted to try what I just saw a video, and I've seen it before, but I don't even know how I stumbled upon it, but I was watching KVD talk about the bigger ones, right? The big swim baits, and he talked about how he just makes them into a line through. So after my fiasco with like these big crazy 10-aught, which is like more like a friggin' 12-aught crazy hooks, I'm thinking about rigging up some of these with like a line through treble hook on the belly. But I'm also thinking about doing it to some of these littler ones because you can I mean, it's pretty easy. And technically, you don't even have to do like the rivet thing like he recommends. I mean, you can, but technically you don't even have to. Or all you really have to do is, because I go to a lot of different convenience stores, is get their little coffee straws, and you could cut those down to little line through things. Anyway, just a thought, and I'm thinking about doing that, rigging up some of these. I'm going to try some different stuff. Not getting away from chatterbaits. When we go out fishing, one of the first things I probably throw are chatterbaits, but I got those all more or less lined out. Going to work on my Finesse soft plastic swim bait game, and then try to start going out when I do go out fishing now more for, instead of just testing a bunch of different one type deals, because I already know what'll work here. I just need to start gathering up some of the stuff and having them already pre-rigged, at least a handful of them when I get out there, because you don't want to get out on the water like this and go, okay, well, give me this and give me that, and let me put that, and let me put this with that. And you guys know the deal. I fish with snaps anyway, so I'm gonna at least have probably one of each of these rigged, and this dude rigged up, ready to go. One of the white ones, and maybe one of these black-backed white ones, but somewhere I thought I had all white, and then some of these, and like this one too. This is probably still my favorite color overall, and the Meredith ones you can get that are they're still probably cheaper, but they were like dirt cheap there for a while, and I got a bunch of them in that color. I think I bought 50 of this size, 50 of the bigger size, and then 5 of these freaking monster size ones. I gotta figure out how to get that thing. I'm probably gonna do the line through deal and just have a treble hook rigged up underneath on at least one of these. I'll probably leave this dude alone until I get like an 8/0. Switch it out. And then don't forget, I'm still trying to figure out what, where, and how. Now this isn't really a finesse, but this is a. I still like the way these things swim, the Judge. But I don't think I'm using the right head configuration. I just don't think I got it. I got to figure out if I want to rig the. I think what I want to do. I know I think a lot, don't I? I think I want to rig up one of these on these. Where'd it go? Where did it go? So I think instead of jacking around, I kind of was going with this with these PD choppers. I think I want to try to rig up one of these dudes on that PD chopper and utilize it, fishing it here and there, that kind of stuff. So I got work to do, and that's not even counting the work I got to do on all these reels. So, any questions? Yeah, I've tried to stay away from the scrounger heads. I remember and I also got to straighten out some of these tails on a few of these baits. That's the only downside to these Meredith ones. They come in a package. They're not the blister packs, to where if the tails could be a little janky, but these are actually a good plastic to where it doesn't take much to get them straightened back up. But anyway, the scroungers, I always had they just stopped going right. Like no matter how I stored them, and I didn't really probably store them great, but that little plasticky stuff that goes around the head would just be all weird, and it didn't take much, in my opinion, to them to just get out of whack, and then they didn't do anything, or they just like went through the water all funky. Back when they first come out, I remember they were a thing. Like I remember going. I won't say Bass Pro Hand Rod, but I remember Rogers had like one whole end cap, just every color and size, loaded, and I mean, they still work, and they were really working because nothing had really seen that kind of wiggle the way they moved, and they work. They do work good, but anyway, it's hard to keep them working. In other words, I want to open one of these. I just had to get these. I figured they say 1/4 ounce. I'm not sure what they actually weigh, but for $3, I figured I would try them because they are like that sneaky small head, pretty big overall. Everything else, so I put a pretty good sized swim bait on there, and throw that definitely on like some, don't have to be finesse, I guess. So I don't even know if something this big would. This one's kind of a little deformed. But I would say that hook would actually handle, you just kind of rig it up a little. Yeah, that would handle a big swim bait. I don't know how little I could go. I could rig up one of these. Easy enough on it. Oh, upside down. Just so it's not weedless on that little head. Probably take one of those without just leave it like as long, or so yeah, I could probably just leave it long and just hook it, not worry about trying to make it into one of those belly rigged ones, and just try it like that. It's a pretty big hook. So they had, speaking of hooks, they had some of the jungle different hooks, but like those HD, those things are insane. Flipping hooks and different stuff, because I was thinking about getting some of those to try out also, my soft plastic stuff on bottom bouncing. Where's... I'm not even sure what size but yeah, anything these... So let's compare it to that. So that's the just Berkeley Fusion, and that's a I don't know, not that big of a hook, but it's just too big for the little ones. But this one is a way smaller head, about the same everything else if you look at it. Like the hook comes up, and you can definitely tell it's a little cheaper made kind of thing, but that's a pretty big honking hook compared to the Berkeley Fusion one. So a little bit bigger swim baits, but you don't want a big gaudy head. Go a little slower. And they got a size bigger, about a head like this, same price. I just wanted to try these little ones to see what I thought of them, because then I also thought I could also add weight to this on depending on which way I wanted it to, go. I could clip on a little weight here or add a little weight inside the bait itself or whatever. So anyway, any questions? I'm anxious to get out, and I'm actually anxious. I know, stop talking about chatterbaits, but I'm anxious to see how well this does with, this, just what it says it's for, square bills. Well, maybe. It's upside down, but it won't even focus. Square bills and red-eye shad. So I'm going to try it with all of my, so my bigger square bills is where I'm hoping this one really kicks in, because like I showed you that Conquest, or even well, this rod too, but I've got several other options that I don't really have an actual big square bill rod. In other words, I've got, which would probably be the Poison Adrena or the 610 medium signature series would be the backups for that. And possibly even the Elite, but I'm hoping I like this one just for what it says on it, what it's good for, all of the square bills, all the red eye shads, and I'm hoping it also is a contender for chatterbait. So like all of my moving stuff. And yes, I will throw it, even though I'm sure I will not like it for spinnerbaits. I will throw a spinnerbait on it. I throw everything on it. If I got a rod, it's seen almost all of my baits just to try it and try to at least get a couple bites on it and just see what it's like. You'd be surprised sometimes that something that's not intended for the other thing just flat out works. Just like if you saw in the horrible video with the Super Destroyer trying it with chatterbaits, I tried it again. I tried it before, but I'm like, I'll just try it again. Horrible for chatterbaits. I am going to try my 803 jig and worm rod again for chatterbaits. I did the other day we were out. I just didn't get around to it, but I'm pretty sure I will hate it for that still. Sometimes you want to recheck yourself on stuff. It's like, oh yeah, I remember why I don't like it for that. All right, guys. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here, and I sound like Randy Blunkett. All right, guys. That FFS is bad news. Oh, yeah. Speaking of forward-facing sonar, I know this video is nothing about it, but since you're here, since I got your attention, if you haven't watched it, go watch what Hank Parker said about it. Like, I think he brought up a lot of good things as why what I seen could be bad for the sport of bass fishing if forward-facing sonar becomes a thing and gets cheaper, and everybody's out crappie fishing for bass because all this kind of bait stuff, almost everything, you're all going to see these little pintail, little minnow things doing the little jig and minnow shaky thing, which this is not really that. This is throwing them out there, and working in them, not blind casting. You kind of have an idea where you think fish are, or even if you have forward facing, you see the fish and you're casting to them and reeling, and if you can't get them to bite, then you move on. You don't sit and dangle it in their nose of the fish. Well, oh my God, just eat it! You know what I'm saying? Then that's what they're doing to win some of these tournaments. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. they're like, I just need 5 6 pounders, and I know you're a 6 pounder. And I mean, if I had to do that, I just would, I would find something else. That seems like the most just, I don't even know if it's nerve wracking or just, I don't know. I see no enjoyment in it because a few times I've been out with forward facing sonar and you can see them. If anything, a lot of times it's more frustrating than anything. You can see stuff down there moving around, you cast into it or whatever. And I know somebody's going to be like, well, that's the art of it, finding out what they'll hit. No, you're just finding out what can pester them long enough until they'll just smack at it and then you catch them. It's not fishing. It's not the right kind of fishing. I'm just telling you. But like Hank Parker said, he goes, you're going to get, which is already happening. He goes, first of all, like they're just not buying the baits. Like people go out and watch somebody win a tournament. So you're going to get, and I watched Mark Zona also talking about it. He's like, at some point, the pressure thing will catch up to the forward facing sonar people once you get everybody on the lake with one or half the people with the lake with one. And that, like I've mentioned it early on, months ago, I'm like, one good thing is if, say, everybody had it and everybody goes out in the middle and I'm still on the bank fishing, or just outside and edges and not worried about that. At some point, I would think it would have to just push fish to change off from what they would normally do and not stay schooled up like that. Just like, I'm out, man. Like, they'll sense the pings and they just disperse, to go do their own thing and come back later. And I don't know. So, anyway, it's just my opinion. If you watch like what all the pros have to say about it and don't have to say about it and that kind of stuff, you can decide for yourself if you want or not. Like Charles says, like it doesn't matter what the pros and what the whatever does. Like I watch some of it. Charles watches absolutely none of that. Doesn't base any of his fishing off any of that stuff. He just goes bass fishing, and when I'm going, he listens to me rant about this or that, and then he just uses. Now some stuff he will use once he sees me using it and catching. You cannot just get away from when you go fishing with somebody and they start whacking them on something like the baby rage menace. You start using the baby rage menace because that bait is legit. These definitely catch fish. Just like any of these style swim baits, you might need a different size, get it on underspin or on by itself. But trust me, these are fish catchers too. It's just got to figure out when and where. So like I mentioned, if you see little 5-minute clips that seem unfinished, it's up to you if you want to watch them or not, but they're probably going to be me starting to talk about something, catching a fish or two, and then I would normally be going to another clip and I would edit those together to make a video, but it's not there yet. So I think there's one in there where I'm basically showing how I cut down the, hang on a second, that I'm probably going to put out. So like when I'm in there, and I'm also tempted, I want to try these just so I'll know and you'll know and we'll both know. I think this could be a good alternative to put on these Willow vibes too. Whether it be the Swim On or the Komodo Junior. Because there's not really the paddle tail back there, but there's just this back there and it kind of gives it a profile. But I think I still like the idea of keeping it trimmed down. So there's several videos, and I've already talked about it, but there's a few clips. I believe I pulled one out of the package. I cut the head of it off, and then I trim it up, and I put it on, and I think I catch a fish or so. So I might, if I can find some stuff like that, I might put those out this week. Because I don't know if I'm going to have time to get it all fixed up and ready to go before I'm fishing again. Because I'm going to try to go both Saturday and Sunday. I got batteries charging right now. That reminds me I need to switch one around. So I'm going to, I think, and Charles, if you watch this or when you watch this, or I'll message you probably tomorrow, I think we're going to try to go to a place we haven't gone yet this year and take my boat is what I think the plan is. And hopefully probably do it Saturday. I don't know. I'd rather do it Saturday than I stay late as I want to. If I get home late, and I could always just get a late start on Sunday. But either or. I just like that color. That color just looks good. Chick Magnet Swirl, but it is so close to my favorite Z-Man color. And it's just that, wow, if this would focus. Green pumpkin, purple and gold flake, and it just looks delicious. I mean, if I could go to the Waffle House and get a pancake that looked like that, I would eat that sucker up with a shot of Fireball. All right, guys, get out and go bass and bonsai. But whatever you do, make sure you have fun doing it. Stay tuned to see what kind of rod and reels I get configured and what because we are going to have Fireball Friday night. Be looking forward to that. Well, hopefully all this mess will be cleaned up, and I'll maybe show you some swim bait configurations I got rigged up. Unfortunately, if I order from Tackle Warehouse, that won't be till next week. And next weekend when we'll be able to get out and fish with that kind of stuff, a little different jig heads, but there's not going to be a lot of stuff I'm getting different. I am going to get some of the, oh boy, there's a June bug in here. I got the garage door open. I am going to get some of the swammers. I had them in the cart before and then dropped them off, but some of the X-Zone swammers in the smallest size. I might get some of the mid ones to try also. I've got I don't know if I might get a couple of the Largo shads though too, the smaller ones. But I've got one, I think the 3.5-inch Largo shads that I'm not super, so far I haven't been super impressed with, but I might try them on the smaller size. Where's my Largo shad? Yeah, so I got this, I forget the name of the color, but I got the bigger one I had rigged up on this. Did I even throw this over the week? I don't even know if I threw that. I think I got it rigged up and then never even threw it. I know, so many baits, so little time. This June bug is driving me nuts. All right, guys, I'm out. Thanks for watching. See you later. Gotta go. Gotta kill this June bug.